Now to Russia, and four men charged in connection with Friday's concert hall attack near Moscow are being held in custody, awaiting trial on terrorism charges. At least 137 people were killed in Friday's assault, the deadliest on Russian soil for 20 years. A branch of the so-called Islamic State based in Afghanistan, known as ISIS-K, says it carried out the attack, a claim borne out by French and US intelligence sources. The Kremlin has so far refused to comment on the jihadists' claims.
One after another, the suspects are dragged into a court in the Russian capital. Investigators say all of them have confessed to carrying out Friday's attack inside a Moscow concert hall. Videos have emerged on social media suggesting some of the group were tortured while in custody. One of them brought in directly from hospital in a wheelchair. All four suspects now facing terrorism charges and a possible sentence of 15 years to life in prison. Outside the Crocus City Hall where the attack unfolded, people continue to lay flowers. On Sunday, Russia held a nationwide day of mourning for the dozens of victims.
People came to a concert. Some people came to relax with their families. And any one of us could have been in that situation. I want to express my condolences to all the families that were affected here. And I want to pay tribute to these people.
Among those here to mourn are survivors of the concert massacre. Some of the 5,000 people evacuated from the venue during the attack, many of them with the help of its workers.
I am so grateful to all of those people who were there that evening. They showed us where to go, directed us. I would like to thank each of them. They did a great job.
The country's tightly controlled media has so far not raised questions about how the security services dealt with the attack. Taking place just days after President Vladimir Putin dismissed a US warning about an imminent assault, and despite an affiliate of the so-called Islamic State claiming it was responsible. The Kremlin has chosen to instead point the finger at Ukraine without providing any proof, a claim that Kyiv says is absurd.
Let's explore this with Mariana Katzarova, who's a UN Special Rapporteur on human rights in Russia. Welcome to DW. We blurred the suspects' faces in our report. Pictures of them elsewhere show that they appear to have been beaten. Is that how you see it?
Yes, absolutely. From the information that I've seen, and also there was a video circulating today as well, it appears that some of the suspects were really subjected to torture and ill treatment in custody by the security services at detention. There was a very disturbing video that actually was circulated today of security police cutting the ear of one of the suspects in custody at detention, and then one of the police officers trying to push it into the mouth of the suspect while shouting threats to cut his genitalia and so forth. It's extremely disturbing. Today, I was joined by the Special Rapporteur on anti-terrorism. We called on the Russian authorities also to investigate any allegations of torture and ill treatment against these suspects have taken place, and also, of course, to identify not only the perpetrators and bring to justice, but also the ones who ordered the terrorist attacks. But of course, while respecting fair trial and the prohibition of torture against the suspect.
Right, so even for Russia, you would regard this as being unusual?
No, I think it's very disturbing. I wouldn't say it's unusual, because we've seen similar torture methods being practiced in the context of the Chechnya war in Russia, in the context of the Ukraine war, but also in police custody. The practice of torture to extract confessions is is quite rampant and quite prevalent.
Okay.
And there is ultimate impunity, and it continues, yes.
So we have these confessions.
It's not usual at all.
Right. So that point is made, and I thank you for it. So we have these confessions, which, from what you say, are not likely to be reliable.
Well, there should be really an investigation of whether torture and ill treatment was used to extract these confessions. Yes, absolutely.
And so a lot of people will say, well, why does it matter if they were beaten, given what they did, if, of course, they did it?
Well, I mean, how do we know who did it when actually what I've seen in the news is, a couple of, especially one of them, trembling, completely in a state, Tajik nationals who were reprimanded. I understand the Russian authorities spoke about officially that they've detained 11 suspects. There was information that 2 of them were killed at detention, and then 4 of them were brought last night in front of court in Moscow, which, according to official information, only 2 of them have admitted some complicity with the terrorist attack. How about the other 2, and also under what conditions these confessions were extracted? I think it's very important to understand here, this is a very complicated and sophisticated, I think, operation from the little we've seen since Friday. When I was looking at these pictures and these videos, these were quite a professional job, really, by professionals shooting there. And the next images were of suspects, Tajik nationals, who, one of them with a cut ear and obviously tortured in the video today, and the others appearing in court, clearly being tortured and treated.
OK, thank you so much for talking us through that. Mariana Katzarova, a UN Special Rapporteur on human rights in Russia.
Thank you very much.
So how is the Putin regime likely to react to these attacks at home? Sergei Davidis is a human rights activist and head of the Political Prisoner Support Programme at the Memorial Human Rights Center. That's an international human rights organisation founded in Russia during the fall of the Soviet Union. Welcome to DW. What does Vladimir Putin's response to previous terror attacks tell you about how he's likely to respond to this one?
Good afternoon. Actually speaking, we know that elections of governors were abandoned after one of the most well-known terrorist attacks in Beslan, and other terrorist attacks gave us further tightening of both criminal and processual legislation. The rights of suspects were minimized, and conditions of serving the sentences were deteriorated by law, and punishment was getting more and more severe and longer. I think we should expect something like that now.
Right, so you're expecting quite a crackdown on civil society. The suspects are all said to be Tajiks. Are Tajik migrants in Russia, perhaps all foreigners in Russia, are they likely now to be treated more harshly by the Russian state?
We see now already that there are threats and some pressure in social media and even official media on Tajiks and other people from migrants from Central Asia. And unfortunately, such a campaign will bring its results, and for sure, Tajiks and other people from Central Asia will face much more difficulties in Russia. But actually, Russia needs migration from Central Asia and probably the state will try to balance it somehow.
Right.
But anyway, for sure, there will be some repression against them.
So just zooming out from this and looking at the wider human rights issues in Russia, now that President Putin has been confirmed for another term, what can political prisoners expect? More of the same or worse?
Unfortunately, it's even not too tightly connected with the new Putin's term, because the internal mechanism of such a dictatorship we have in Russia provide us with further increase in repression. Anyway, they have to suppress civil society and suppress any resistance, any independent opinion. So unfortunately, we will see and face increase in repression.
Thank you for joining us, Sergei Davidis from the Memorial Human Rights Centre. Thank you.